The late afternoon sun bled gold across the Colorado foothills, like it was mocking every perfectly manicured lawn in Pine Ridge Estates. My boots sank into the dry earth of the only patch of real land left out here, the kind that still smelled like freedom instead of homeowners association perfume. Titan, my 1,500-pound Black Angus stud, grazed slow and steady 20 yards away, muscles rippling under that glossy hide that was worth more in stud fees than most folks' yearly HOA dues. This wasn't some hobby farm. This was my lifeline. And that piece? It had an expiration date stamped in perfect cursive handwriting. Her name was Karen Whitaker, freshly elected president of the Pine Ridge HOA, and she rolled up like she owned the wind itself. Starched khakis, clipboard in one hand, fake smile stretched so tight you could hear the Botox screaming. She stopped at my gate, eyes scanning my slightly leaning mailbox like it had personally insulted her ancestors. "Mr. Harlan," she said, voice dripping that special suburban syrup, "we do have standards here in Pine Ridge. Community standards. For everyone's property values." I tipped my hat. "Ma'am, last I checked, my deed predates your little beige utopia by 40 years. She didn't blink. Section 7.3, subsection B, aesthetic harmony. That fence? Unpainted. Mailbox? Crooked by 2 degrees. And that animal? She pointed at Titan like he was radioactive. Livestock within visual range of residential lots is explicitly prohibited. You'll be receiving formal notice. The notices came like clockwork. First polite, then bold, then certified mail with fines attached. $250 for the mailbox angle. $500 for visual blight caused by my tomatoes. $750 because Titan's hoof prints near the fence line supposedly dropped my neighbor's resale value by 3%. I laughed at the first few. Then the bank called about my tractor loan, and laughing stopped being an option. I would have kept ignoring her if I hadn't noticed my well pressure dropping every single morning. Right after Karen's award-winning rose beds exploded into Technicolor perfection during the worst drought in 5 years. One night I followed the low hum of illegal PVC and found it, a slick little T-junction tapped straight into my private well line, hidden behind her prized lilac hedge. No meter, no permission, just pure, entitled theft in broad moonlight. I stood there in the dark, flashlight beam trembling, and felt something cold and beautiful click into place. She wanted to weaponize rules? Fine. I'd give her a rule she could never unsee. Under a new moon sky I worked fast and quiet, rerouting one small section of pipe with a bypass hose and a connection that would have made a plumber faint. Septic outflow straight into her irrigation main. I whispered to the night, "Special delivery, Karen. Compliments of community standards." 3 days later her emerald lawn started turning a very special shade of chocolate brown. Prize roses drooped like they'd been hit by napalm. Karen could be heard through the fence line shrieking about mysterious contamination and failing city water while she power-walked in her pastel visor. She never once looked at the farm next door, too busy being the victim. That should have been enough. But people like Karen don't stop when they're losing, they double down. The fines tripled. She started showing up with 2 board members in tow, measuring my grass with a tape measure like it was a crime scene. "Overgrown by 1.2 inches, she announced one afternoon, voice vibrating with triumph. "Another $1,200. Pay by Friday or we lien the property." I smiled the kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. "You know, Karen, Section 12.4 of your own bylaws talks about retaliatory enforcement being grounds for immediate censure. Just thought I'd mention it." She laughed like I'd told a knock-knock joke. "Cute. Keep talking, Mr. Harlan. That bull of yours is next." I didn't think she meant literally. The call came on a blistering Thursday afternoon. My neighbor Martha, voice shaking. "Ryan, get down to the lower fence. Karen's lost her damn mind." I jogged the tractor path, heart hammering. There she was, vibrating with rage on her side of the wire, flanked by 2 pale board members who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. 20 feet away, Titan stood chewing cud like the gentleman he was. Karen's hand disappeared behind her back and came out holding a sleek Remington. The barrel rose smooth and steady, sighted right on Titan's broad chest. Time slowed to a crawl. The metallic click of the safety sounded louder than a gunshot. "Karen," I said, palms up, voice low and even, "that bull is registered livestock on deeded agricultural property. Shooting him is a Class 4 felony. You'll lose the house, the HOA seat, everything. Put it down. He's destroying my flower beds, she screamed, voice cracking like cheap porcelain. Everything you touch turns to garbage. Just like my garden. Her finger tightened on the trigger. Titan flicked an ear, curious. From the side yard came boots on gravel, and a voice carved from 30 years on the sheriff's department. Karen Whitaker. Lower that weapon. Right now. Carl, my neighbor 2 houses down, ex-deputy, stepped between us calm as Sunday morning. You're pointing a loaded rifle at a man's livestock in front of witnesses. That's aggravated assault and felony animal cruelty. I've already dialed 911. Put it down before you throw your whole life away for some damn petunias. The fight drained out of her like air from a punctured tire. The rifle barrel dipped. Her face went the color of old milk. The 2 board members suddenly discovered their shoelaces were fascinating. Karen turned without a word and stalked back toward her perfect beige house, rifle dangling like a broken toy. That night I laid every scrap of evidence on my kitchen table. Copies of her fines, photos of the illegal tap, time-stamped well-pressure logs, and Carl's written statement. I posted it all to the Pine Ridge Neighborhood Facebook group with one simple caption: when community standards become one woman's personal vendetta. The comments exploded before I even closed the laptop. By morning the local news van was parked at my gate. Someone had dug up Karen's old HOA drama in her previous town in Texas. Identical pattern, identical exit. HOA Karen strikes again, trended locally before lunch. She showed up at my driveway the next evening, one lone board member trailing behind like a guilty shadow. This is slander, she hissed, stopping exactly at the property line. I'll sue you into the ground. I leaned against my mailbox, the same crooked one she hated. Everything I posted is documented, Karen. The water theft. The gun. And according to the bylaws you love so much, any board member facing criminal investigation must be immediately suspended pending review. Section 3.1. Ring a bell? The board member behind her took one involuntary step backward. Karen's mouth opened, closed. The rule book she lived by had just become the noose around her neck. 3 days later, an emergency HOA meeting removed her as president for conduct unbecoming. All fines against me and 3 other families were voided with a groveling group email that basically said, "Oops, our bad." Neighbors who once crossed the street to avoid me now waved like we'd been buddies forever. 2 weeks after that, a big red for sale sign appeared on Karen's flawless lawn. The moving truck came and went under cover of darkness. She left the same way she arrived, like a storm that finally ran out of wind. I walked out to the pasture that evening. Titan ambled over and bumped my shoulder with that massive head, soft as a puppy. The foothills glowed quiet and golden, no clipboards, no threats, just the wind and the land that was mine again. I scratched behind his ear and whispered, "We held the line, big guy." Turns out the real eyesore wasn't the bull. It was the lady who thought rules only applied to everyone else. So here's the question that still keeps the whole neighborhood talking. When the system meant to protect community standards gets hijacked by one power-hungry bully, who really crossed the line, the guy who fought dirty to survive, or the woman who used the law like a loaded gun until it finally turned on her? True or false, the HOA Karen got exactly the karma she ordered.